In this video, I'm going to go over with you on 15 configurations that must be checked on a regular basis to make sure that your CRM is working perfectly, and also 18 different data points that the CRM Police will need to verify on a regular basis. The CRM Police is a term that I came up with, and it's defining someone in the organization, someone detailed, someone who cares. And this person will need to make sure that both configuration and data are perfectly in the system. Let's begin with configuration number 1, and that will be the users. You will need to go to the setup, and then you will need to go to the users under general, and then you will see all the users in the system. First of all, make sure that the number of the employees are correct. Sometimes people have been laid off, they're no longer with the company and still are in the system and have access to everything. Not great. Second of all, you want to see that the permission system is correct. Below the name, you will have the role. What is the role in the company or role in the CRM system? And also what is their profile, the permission. The role represents what they can see, what data they can see, and the permission, the profile, represents what they can do. Both of them are basically the permission system. You will need to make sure that each person in the system will have the correct permissions and roles, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's not great. But on my channel, you have a video about the permission systems, profile roles. Check this video, it's important. Second thing, you want to make sure that every employee is going to the personal settings, so that will be under general and then personal settings. And that's something that every employee needs to do. They need to make sure that their name is correct, the email is correct, they need to make sure that their phone number is there, and they need to make sure that the time zone is correct. Without one of them, there can be mistakes in the system, and the biggest one is when you are sending emails, you will usually rely on email templates. Instead of having an email template for each salesperson, you can have one email template that what's changing is the phone number, the name, the email signature, and those will be pulled from the user profile. So in that case, all those details need to be here, because when James will send an email, his details will be populated into the template. One more thing that I owe you is the email signature, because it's not on this page. You will need to write email in the search, click on compose, and you will see that you have here add email signature. Next, we are jumping to configuration number 2. We are still on the email system, and that will be the email deliverability. If you don't know what I'm talking about or how to go to this page, let's go back to the home. Okay, and from here you go to the setup, and then here you will just write deliverability and you will find it here. You click and you will see it. So under the email deliverability, everything that doesn't look like 2 green check marks is not good. Here you can see in my system that my domain is abr10.com. It says that there is no DMARC. Right now the email is verified, so this is fine, but there is no authentication, so that's pending. That's not good, so you need to authenticate it. If you don't know what I'm talking about, on my channel there is a video that shows how to authenticate. It's not that difficult, but it must be done, okay? If you don't do that, your emails will go to the promotional folder or spam. Not great, okay? It's very important. Next, we are going to configuration number 3, and that will be the email configuration for each employee in the system. Now, if you want, as an administrator or CRM Police, you want to know how to check it, you will go to the email configuration, okay? And then you will go to the email sharing. And from the search, you can also go to the email sharing. You see? So once you go here, you will see two things. One, it will say configuration type. So you can see that Abdul is not configured. James has an IMAP configured, so James is fine. Jeff, Jesse, and Zoho support user, all of them are not configured, which means their emails are not syncing with the CRM. Big problem, it's not good. The main reason is that when you look at a record, you want to see all the emails that have been exchanged by all the company employees into the record. So Zia, the artificial intelligence, can summarize all of them and you will have a picture of what's going on with your client. And also when, for example, Jerry is not with the company anymore, I can pick up and I can see all the emails that were exchanged with this customer. So you need to make sure that all the configuration types are perfect. And if not, you will go to Abdul and you say, Abdul, listen, your email is not configured, let's do it together. Don't tell them to do it. The CRM Police needs to do a share screen with them and do it with them. Otherwise, they won't do it. Now, also one more thing, the sharing must be public. If it's not public and it's private, like in those cases, their emails, even though they are configured, they won't be shared with the records. So the only people who will see those emails, it's them, which is defeating the purpose. The next point will be the email relay. The email relay is below email deliverability, and then you go to email relay. Now, by default, nothing is configured here, and I need to explain what is an email relay. When you are sending emails from Zoho, sometimes your emails will not go through your configured email. So if I configure the email, for example, I went to email configuration, I went to email, and here you can see that my email is configured properly. The emails that will be sent using this integration, which means from my email address, it's only emails that are going from a record, which means I will go to a record. So let's go to a lead as an example. And from the lead, I will click on send email, which means it's an individual email. Only then my email is going to use the IMAP configuration, which means the email will be sent from my mailbox. But if you are going to use mass email from Zoho CRM or automated email using workflows or blueprints and so on, the system is not using your IMAP anymore. It will use the Zoho built-in email deliverability system, which is like Zoho campaigns. It is good, but it's not great. Most companies are okay with it, but I think that if emails are important for you, you probably want to change the email deliverability and have an email relay. An email relay, I also have it on the channel, how to configure it, but the email relay will need to be configured by your IT or someone that understands what this page means. And the idea is that also automated and mass email will go from a good email address and not Zoho's public IP. And you can see also when I click here that you can have the type of email to be sent only automated emails, only individual emails, which you don't need because this is your IMAP, or mass emails. The next point will be the calendar, and this is point number 5. If we are going to the left side, you will see that you have here a bunch of configurations. In my case, I will have a Google Calendar. So I will just write Google on the search. And if you go back, you can do it also here. It's exactly the same search. And then you can see Google Calendar. If you are on Microsoft, for example, you can also have Microsoft, and then you can configure it using Office 365. You will see that you have here the meetings for Office 365. If you are on Google, you will click on the calendar, and then you will need to click on Authenticate Google Calendar, and it will start the authentication process. So this is a very simple thing to do that every user in your business will need to do it by themselves. And I really recommend the CRM Police to know what they're doing and just do it with the other employees. Otherwise, no one will do it. Okay, so this is the calendar integration. If the calendar integration works, whenever there are meetings, they will be synced with your customers. So if, for example, I am right now on this lead, for example, and this lead will have the different activities, which means you will see your meetings. This meeting came directly from the Google Calendar. So it knows the client and it's just syncing the meeting to the CRM. I will have here over time the tasks, the meeting, calls, which are integrated with the phone system, everything in one place. Perfect. That's exactly what you need. And you also can run automations on that. As an example, I can have an integration that will alert the lead 1 day before, 30 minutes before the meeting, that there is a meeting, don't forget, and if you can show up, let us know. Or after the meeting, if there is no minutes of meeting, to remind the salesperson to send it. So it's very, very important to do it. Configuration number 6 will be phone integration. Now, for phone integration, we use RingCentral, Zoho Voice. We have a bunch of companies that we work with, all depending on the needs. Not every phone company is great for every business. If you need help, let us know. We'll walk you through the right places. We are pretty good with phone systems and integrations with Zoho. 2 things you must have integrated into the CRM. 1, whenever you have phone calls, they need to be integrated with the CRM, so the logs will be in the system. Which means if I am right now, I have here Sophia, and Sophia, for example, had a phone call with my salesperson or with the office, I would like those phone calls to appear in the closed activities. So I will just do it right now in a manual way, which obviously not supposed to be. People need to do it automatically. So let's say there was a 1-minute call, and that was yesterday. In this case, you will see that you have here an outgoing call to Sophia, and it's in the system. What needs to be done is that those logs are coming automatically. Another layer on top of that, when there is a log, I also want to see the recording, because if you don't have the recording, let's assume that Sophia received the price from us, I will say that I gave Sophia $1,000 and she will say that it was $500. I would like to see the recording. Now, for people that are saying that their phone system is keeping the recording, this is partially correct, because you need to check with the phone company and see what is the retention. So for how long they are keeping the recordings. The most that I know of will be about 3 months, which was nothing, because problems can start also after 3 months. Another thing that is important to understand is that now with AI, you will need to use existing data so you can learn from it, and your system will learn from it, and you can become a better business based on your records. So if you don't have recordings, you have nothing to back your system on. So let's say that in our company, I will take all the closed, lost deals, and I will like to see what happened. So I will take the transcripts from meetings, from phone calls, from emails, from tasks. I will take all that, and then the AI will propose ideas of why the deal broke. And when you have enough of those, the results are pretty amazing. Okay, so phone integration, super critical to your business. Configuration number 7 will be lead conversion mapping. So let's assume that I'm on this lead and eventually I will click on convert. The moment that I convert the lead is gone, and the lead will convert to a contact, account, and the deal, which means the information in this system will be converted to other modules. But if the lead conversion mapping is incorrect, this data will be gone. And let me show you what I mean. If you go to the setup and you go to modules and fields, and then you hover the leads, don't click on it, okay? So right now I'm clicking on the 3 dots. I'm not clicking on leads, okay, on the 3 dots. And then I go to lead conversion mapping. You will see here how the system is going to convert the information from a lead to the account, which is a company, to the contact, which is a person, and opportunity, in my case, it's deals. Some fields are saying none on all of them, which means this information is not being pushed to the other modules. Sometimes it's on purpose because the information is irrelevant, but it's only relevant when there is a lead. And sometimes it is relevant. So in my case, any automation required, I don't need it to move to anywhere else. Admin status override, I don't need it to move anywhere. But maybe date of birth, which is a mandatory field on the lead system, maybe it's important to take and push it into the contact. Okay, so the CRM Police supposed to take this information and copy this information to the right places. So the CRM Police needs to go to each one of the fields and make sure that each one of them is going to be populated into the right place. Okay, very, very important. Otherwise, you're losing this data and there is no way to retrieve it. The next configuration will be backups. So if I will go back and will search for backup, you will see the data backup. And right now it is running, so you can see all the times that it ran. And you can also see the repetition and schedule and so on. Let me just click on Stop Backup. This is what you will see, or something similar to that, when you have no backups or if it's not running properly. In this case, you will need to click on twice a month, and that is the recommended and free option. If you want, you can also have it every week or download immediately, up to you. When we are working on live systems, we will click on download immediately every day to make sure that we are capturing everything that we need, but that's happening sometimes, okay? So you don't really need to do it. I think twice a month is good enough for most businesses. You will select the day that you want it to run, and when you are finishing with it, you will click on Done. At that moment, the system will start running the backup, and when the backup is done, you will have here 2 links, one link for the attachments and one link for the data. And you see, one link for the data and one for the attachments. You will click on each one of them, the file will be downloaded, and I recommend you to upload it to a secure location that is not Zoho. Because the idea is to secure that your data is fine also if Zoho is unavailable. So until now, touch wood, nothing happened to Zoho. But if one day something will happen, at least you have the backup. Also, if you want to move to a different system, which I don't see any reason doing it, you can still use those backups and you can extract them on a different system and recover from it. Okay? I recommend you every 2 weeks to download a fresh copy just to be sure that if something happens, you can always go back to previous versions. I can't tell you how many times when we needed to recover, the copy that we had was not good and we had to go back to previous backups and then it was good. Okay? If you won't download it, those are gone after 7 days. Okay, important. Next, we are going to profiles and roles. So we have videos on the channel that are talking about it, but there is something very specific I want to show you. So under security control, you have profiles and roles. Profiles, it's what you can do. And roles, it's what you can see. So if I go to profiles, you will see that I have here the two default profiles. I have administrator, which this is God, can do everything in the system, and standard that it's not, but it's supposed to be a limited profile. But if I click on standard, you will see that I have here the ability to delete, which I don't want any employee to be able to delete, especially if it's a standard user. And you will also have here one more thing that I don't like is the ability to export, which we saw many times that employees that don't like the company, they're exporting the company's information and selling it to the competitors. Crazy. So you have here a bunch of more abilities to change automations and do many more things that I don't like it personally. So there is no way, by the way, to delete this profile. So the only thing that you can do is just to ignore it. So administrator will be people that are not only trusted people, administrators also will be for people that cannot damage the system, they know what they're doing. And if you want to have more profiles, you just go to standard, you clone it, you will have, let's say the profile name is sales, and now you start customizing it. So let's say sales will not be able to delete. Okay, and then I'm starting to remove the ability to delete from all of them. And the reports, for example, a regular salesperson not supposed to have reports at all and not access to the analytics. And I'm starting to design the profile. If you go to the roles, which that will be the next one, roles and sharing, I won't touch the sharing, we have a video about it, but it's important that you understand that the higher the hierarchy, the more they can do. So you will see that you have here the CEO, which means can see the entire organization and all the data. The manager can see only his data and the salesperson below, but cannot see the data of the CEO. So there is an hierarchy that you can create of who can see what and who can do what. Who can see will be the roles and who can do is the permission, which are the profiles. Next, we are on configuration number 10, and that will be workflow rules. So if you will search for workflow rules, and you will see all the workflows that are in your system, the CRM Police will need to go to each one of them. So you go into the three dots, you click on view usage, and then you will see when was the last time that this workflow, the automation, executed. So you can see that I have 0 success, 0 failures, 0 in queue. If I will go to the last 90 days, I see that in the last 90 days, it ran only 1 time, it was successful, 0 failure, 0 in queue. Now, sometimes you will want to go a little bit before. So the system is new, so I don't have much data. But let's say that I'm starting from the 7th. You will see how many times this workflow ran. And in some cases, you will see that this workflow was not running for a long period of time. And in that case, maybe this workflow not supposed to be there. So you need to think about it. Now, in some cases, you will see that you have failures, which means you think that this workflow is running, but it's not. It's failing because there is a problem. So obviously, in those cases, the CRM Police will need to go inside the system, identify it, and then or tell a developer, because the CRM Police is not a technical function. It's someone that identifies problems and then talk to a Zoho partner or do it internally. But the idea is that the CRM Police will identify failures and notify the right person. That needs to be done on each one of the workflows in the system. So the bigger the system, the more workflows, and it's more time consuming, but very, very important. So next we are going to the marketplace. So I will write here marketplace. I will click on all. And you will see all the extensions by default. This is ours. Very nice. So If you are going to the installed, you will see all the extensions that are installed in your system. And also on this page, you will see if there are any extensions that requires attention from you, which means they need an update or anything is wrong with them. And if it is, you will need to click and update them, or at least maybe talk to the developer of the extension if you don't know how to do it, and they will help you. But it's very important to make sure that your extensions are up to date. If the developer of the extension released an update, there is probably a good reasons for it, okay? So make sure that your extensions are updated. One more thing about the extensions. It's also important to see if there are extensions that you don't need, and then remove those extensions, because every extensions will have more space in your system, more fields that it's using, more automations, more workflows. So be sure to use only what you need to, because as businesses evolve, sometimes they don't really need all the fields in the system and all the extensions. The next configuration will be the most difficult one, and that will be the modules and fields. So if you go back to the setup, click on modules and fields, and then few things will happen here. First of all, you will have here all the modules in the system. Sometimes you will not need all of them. As an example, in my case, I don't need price books. Okay, in that case, I can remove it. So I can click here on the toggle and I will just turn it off. So now price books is not anymore in my system. Another thing is that each one of those modules will have fields. So if I click on one of those modules, I will have a layout. And if I click on the layout, I will see all the fields in the layout. So you can see that I have a bunch of fields. Let's assume that the lost reason field is not required anymore. I will click on the three dots and I will remove it. All the fields that will be removed will be on the bottom on the unused fields. And if you did it by mistake, you can just push them back. Okay? So it's very important to have the fields that you are using. And if you are not, just push them aside. You don't need them. The more fields that you will have, the more confused people will be and the less people will use the system. If the system is good and great, with not too much data, people will be happy to use it. There is one more thing that you can do, and it's to use Canvas, which we have also on the channel, how to use Canvas. Canvas will allow you to have views that are great and looking good, and they can be used by every role. So when we design a system, I will have a view for operations, and then a different view for finance, and a different one for admins. So each view will see only the fields that they need. It's time consuming, it's expensive because it's time consuming, but it's worth it. It's making sure that people are working on systems that they like. Next is configuration 13, and it's exactly in the same place. You will have sometimes pick lists, and this will be one of the pick lists, and rating is a pick list. And if you scroll down, any automation required, it's a pick list, and so on. For most companies, the pick lists in the system are not correct. What you need to do is to click on the three dots, you click on edit, and then you are checking each one of the pick list values. If there are pick list values that are not required, just go ahead and click on the minus and remove them. If you need more, click on the plus button and add them. So it's very important that the pick list values are the correct ones. Now, if you want, you can also enable colors, and those colors will have some meaning. As an example, in the systems that we create, green means good, red, problem, blue, everything is normal, yellow, warning. And by those colors, people can identify what's going on without even reading. So there is a visual confirmation based on the color. Now, for People that also have, let's say, leads and also contacts modules and accounts and so on. If you remember, we talked about lead conversion mapping, that the information is flowing from the leads to other modules on conversion. If I will have here, for example, the rating, and the rating right now will be those values: acquired, active, market, project, shutdown. If I am going to have this field moved, let's say, to the contacts on conversion, I will need to make sure that the same field exists also on the contacts and all those values are corresponding, so they're identical. Otherwise, the conversion will not work perfectly. Okay, very important. Next, we are talking about layout rules. Layout rules, it's a configuration in the modules and fields. And you can see here, you have the layout rules. So just so you won't get lost, I am right now in settings and I went to modules and fields. And from here, I will click on a module, for example, leads, and then the layout rules will be on the top. The idea of the layout rules is to create some kind of a conditional system. So if I click on close lost, then another field will show up as an example, or make another field mandatory. You will see all the layout rules and you can click on them and you can check that if, for example, everything is correct. In this case, if the lead status is lost lead, it will now show the lost lead reason why the lead is lost. And this is making absolute sense. In some systems, you will have layout rules that are not correct, which means it's affecting your team from doing their job. Okay, so that will be number 14, very important. And for the last configuration, we have the reports and analytics. For most companies that we work with, the home area is completely useless. They will have a bunch of reports and analytics that they don't need. For some people in the company, this is very important, for some not really. So in this case, you will have here a bunch of dashboards. For example, if you go to the classic view, this is coming out of the box, completely useless to me for what I do. If I will go to the sales manager dashboard, that's a dashboard that I created with what I need. So I can see what's going on in the company. I can see all the orphan leads. I can see the attribution, how leads are coming to the system and which channels work and which not. I can see how fast my employees are answering phone calls. Everything is great. So bottom line, go over the home page for each one of the roles and make sure that each one of them is seeing exactly what they need to see and they're actually using it. Okay, so until now, this is video number 1, and we talked only about the configuration part. In video number 2, which will be next week, we are going to talk about the CRM Police on the data side, how to verify the data points and make sure that the data in the system is correct 100%. Because if it's 99%, your reports are not correct, employees are not doing good job, you have duplication in the system, it's a mess. So I will see you next week with the data for the CRM Police.